Kill that weak version of yourself. Not your body, not your soul. Not the person reading this right now searching for something to hold on to in the dark, but the habits, the excuses, the fears, the procrastination, the identity that keeps choosing comfort over growth, distraction over discipline, the familiar over the possible. Kill that. Because here's the truth that nobody around you will ever say out loud. The life you are living right now is not the product of your circumstances. It is the product of the version of yourself you have been too afraid to destroy. And until that version dies, nothing in your life will truly change. You can switch jobs, you can move cities, you can start over and over and over again. But if the same weak patterns come with you, if the same excuses board the plane, if the same fears follow you through every new door you open, then you are not beginning again. You are just running in a new location. You are bringing the old self into a new setting and calling it transformation. And that is not transformation, that is relocation. The change you are waiting for is not waiting in your circumstances. It is waiting inside the death of the version of you that is still making the same choices, still wasting the same hours, still believing the same lies about why today is not the right day to begin. There is no right day. There is only this one. And even now, as these words land in your ears, some part of you is already preparing to dismiss them, already searching for the reason this does not apply to you, already building the argument for why your situation is different, why your excuses are valid, why the version of you that exists today deserves more time. That is a weak version speaking, and it is very, very good at convincing you to stay small. Let us talk about who this weak version actually is. Not a monster, not a failure, not something shameful, just a pattern. A collection of repeated choices, each one small enough to seem harmless. Each one adding another brick to the wall between who you are and who you were meant to become. The weak version wakes up and reaches for the phone before reaching for purpose. It tells you 5 more minutes when the alarm goes off. And those 5 minutes turn into 30. And those 30 minutes quietly confirm something underneath. That comfort matters more than commitment. That sleep matters more than the life waiting on the other side of discipline. The weak version sits down to work and lasts 12 minutes before needing stimulation. Before checking a notification, before watching something, before letting the mind drift anywhere except the difficult thing directly in front of it. It cannot sit inside discomfort, cannot tolerate the quiet friction of doing hard things without reward. And so it reaches, constantly, for the easier moment, the easier feeling, the easier version of the day. The weak version makes plans, beautiful plans, with real conviction. Late at night when the emotion is high and the belief feels genuine. It sets the alarm, it writes the goal, it feels the fire. And then morning comes, cold and honest. And the fire is gone, and the alarm is snoozed, and the plan survives one more day as a dream rather than a discipline. The weak version fears judgment more than it fears stagnation. It will not start the thing because someone might see it fail. It will not speak the truth because someone might not like it. It will not stand apart because being unseen feels safer than being criticized. So it blends in, it shrinks, it trades the possibility of greatness for the guarantee of invisibility. And every single day that this version leads your life, it does so quietly. It does not announce itself. It does not say, I am the weak version, and I am making your choices today. It simply says, not today, maybe tomorrow. You deserve rest. You have time. You are not ready yet. And you listen. Because the weak version sounds like self-compassion. It sounds like self-awareness. It sounds like wisdom even, until you look up and see that years have passed, and the life you imagined is still on the other side of the choices you keep refusing to make. This version is not protecting you. It is preserving itself. It is keeping you exactly comfortable enough to never force a change. Now let us go deeper. Because the most dangerous part of this story is not laziness. Laziness, you can see. The most dangerous part is the cycle of self-betrayal that forms when the weak version repeatedly makes promises on your behalf. Promises you cannot keep, and you slowly, quietly lose trust in yourself. Think about every promise you have made yourself and broken. Think about the morning routine you started and abandoned, the discipline you chose and then surrendered, the goal you announced and then quietly buried under silence and new distractions. Think about how many times you have stood in the mirror at the beginning of something and said, "This time is different," and how many of those times were actually different. Not because you lacked potential, not because the goal was wrong, but because the version of yourself making the promise was the same version that had already broken every promise before it. And here is what nobody explains clearly enough. Every broken promise does not just fail the goal. Every broken promise erodes something structural inside you. It erodes self-trust. It teaches the part of you that is always watching, always recording, always taking notes on who you actually are. It teaches that part that your words cannot be trusted, that your commitments are temporary, that the gap between what you say and what you do is permanent. And when self-trust is gone, something else moves in. Overthinking. Because when you cannot trust your own word, when you have a history of starting and stopping and abandoning and escaping, you stop trusting your own decisions. You second guess. You hesitate. You spend more time thinking about the thing than doing it, because some part of you already knows that even if you decide to start, the odds of you finishing are lower than you want to admit. And so, you delay. You research instead of doing. You plan instead of acting. You scroll instead of creating. You consume the lives of people who are building while you remain in the comfortable position of watching. And frustration builds. And frustration has nowhere to go, so it turns inward into low-grade self-disgust that sits underneath every day like a quiet noise you can never quite silence. Not loud enough to force change, just persistent enough to color everything with the gray feeling that you are not living the life you are supposed to live. You are not stuck because life is unfair. You are not stuck because the timing is wrong. You are not stuck because you do not have enough resources or connections or opportunities. You are stuck because you are caught inside a cycle of promising and failing and promising and failing. And the weak version of yourself is the engine of that cycle. It does not want change. It wants the feeling of wanting change. It wants the moment of motivation, the rush of possibility, the beautiful vision of the life you could have. And then it wants to return to comfort without paying the price. And the price is the only thing standing between who you are and who you are supposed to become. So what does it actually look like to kill this version of yourself? It does not look like a single moment. It does not look like one night of deep reflection and then a permanent transformation by morning. That is not how identity dies. That is not how new selves are built. It looks like a series of small, unglamorous choices made in the exact moments when every instinct inside you is screaming to stop. It looks like getting up when you do not want to. Not because a motivational video told you to. Not because you feel inspired, but because you made a commitment, and for the first time in a long time, you are choosing to be a person who honors their own word even when nobody is watching. That is where it begins. In the private moments, the moments where no one sees whether you do the work or not, whether you take the easy path or the hard one, whether you follow through or find an excuse. The weak version of yourself dies in private, not in announcements, not in declarations, not in posts about the new you that appear before the new you has actually done anything. In private, in the dark, in the quiet hour before the world wakes up, when you are sitting with the work and the discomfort and the silence, and you choose to stay. That is the moment. The strong version is not built from a single transformation. It is assembled from 1,000 of those moments, each one invisible, each one difficult, each one a quiet vote for the identity you are building. And slowly, something begins to shift, not all at once, not in a way that other people will immediately notice, but you will notice. You will notice that the excuses come less quickly. You will notice that the alarm goes off and you sit up without the internal argument, because the argument has less power now, because you have defeated it so many times that it has become smaller. You will notice that the hard task feels less like punishment and more like proof. Proof that you are not the person you used to be. Proof that the version of yourself who gave up first is losing ground. And that feeling is unlike anything else. It is not the feeling that comes from comfort. Comfort gives you relief. Discipline gives you identity. And identity is the only thing that compounds. Because when you start to see yourself as a person who does the difficult thing, who keeps the commitment, who chooses growth even when growth is uncomfortable, your decisions begin to change without force. They align naturally with who you are becoming. You do not need to motivate yourself to do what a disciplined person does once you have become a disciplined person. The work is in the becoming, and the becoming is in the decision to kill the version of yourself that has been leading your life with permission you never should have given it. Let us talk about who emerges on the other side of this. Not a perfect person. Not someone without doubt or difficulty, or days where everything feels heavy, but someone fundamentally different in their relationship with discomfort. The strong version of you does not wait for the right mood. It has learned through repetition that mood follows action, not the other way around. That you do not feel ready and then begin. You begin, and readiness catches up. You do not feel confident and then do the hard thing. You do the hard thing, and confidence is the residue left behind. The strong version of you moves in silence. It has lost the need for external validation because the most important audience, the one inside your own chest, already knows what you have been doing, already feels the compound effect of hundreds of small kept promises, already trusts you in a way it has not trusted you in years. And when that internal trust returns, when the voice inside you that was once the loudest critic becomes instead a steady witness to your growth, something quiets. The overthinking quiets. Not completely. Not forever, but the volume drops. Because overthinking is largely the sound of a person who does not trust themselves, making endless adjustments to compensate for that missing trust. When you trust yourself, you decide faster. You move with more clarity. You hold your ground more easily, because your ground is no longer made of hope and intention. It is made of evidence, of the record you have built through the private work of the unglamorous mornings. The strong version of you is not louder, it is calmer. It does not need to announce itself. It does not need others to believe in it. It has something far more durable than belief. It has proof. And that proof is not kept in a list of accomplishments or a display of external results. It is kept in the body, in the quiet confidence of someone who has faced the difficult thing and chosen to keep going anyway. In the posture of someone who has stopped running from discomfort and started moving toward it deliberately, because they understand what lives on the other side of the hard thing. Growth lives there. Clarity lives there. The version of yourself you have always sensed you were capable of being lives there, waiting, not impatiently, because that version understands time, but waiting, present, just beyond the edge of the comfortable life you have been protecting. And so, we arrive here at the only question that actually matters. Not how do I get motivated, not when will I feel ready, not what is the best routine or the perfect system or the ideal moment to begin. The only question is this: are you willing to let the weak version of yourself die? Not punish it, not hate it. It served a purpose. It kept you safe when you needed safety. It kept you comfortable when the world was difficult. It is not your enemy, but it is not who you are supposed to be anymore. And the longer you protect it, the longer you make space for its excuses and justify its delays and soften its failures with the language of self-compassion without self-accountability, the further you move from the life that is waiting for you. You do not need more motivation. You need an identity shift. You need to look at the patterns, the habits, the fears, the delays, the broken promises and the comfortable surrenders, and decide with full clarity and full honesty that this version of you does not get to continue. That it ends here. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve, not when you feel stronger or more prepared or less afraid. Here, now, in this exact moment, with this exact version of yourself and whatever circumstances surround you. The transformation does not begin when everything is aligned. It begins when you choose alignment over comfort. When you choose the difficult right thing over the easy wrong thing, even once, even in one small moment, even in the privacy of a morning when nobody is watching. That first choice is the crack in the wall. And if you keep making it, if you honor it through the days when it is hard, and the weeks when it is boring, and the months when the results are not yet visible, the wall eventually falls. And what stands where it used to stand is not the version of you that was always waiting for the right moment. It is the version of you that finally understood that they were the moment. That they were always the variable, that life was never the obstacle, that the only thing ever truly standing between who you were and who you needed to become was the decision to stop protecting the version of yourself that was never going to get you there. The moment you stop protecting the weak version of yourself is the moment your real life finally begins. Comment, I killed my weak version.